Amsterdam plays host to the 6th round of the season, falls down on pole from Revo and Remy LeBeau. Then it's Sebastian Ocampo, new championship leader Catfish, and Lawless Leclerc. Marcus Nelson starts 7th from Mohamed Awawi and Pierre Gasly. Then it's Tommy, Ica World and UK Ball in 12th. Tenali Gabo starts 13th from Pablo Sierra and Zach Wallace. Then it's Ben Allen Lee, Babinus Jr., Daf Sanchez, and home driver the Red Devil in the 99 car. Then it's Daniel Baltasarov in Not Q and Zay Lane in 22nd. Well, the rain has finally come over an ERL race in season number 21. Volstad finally getting some luck. All 5 lights go on. And we go green in Amsterdam. And that's a pretty good start from Revo off the line. Not too sure about Volstad's start, but he has managed to hold on to the race lead as they now come through turn number 1. Volstad having to go high through the first bank turn. Revo takes the lead coming out of turn 1 as they now head through turn number 3 on board with Volstad. As Tommy further back getting a 5-second time penalty. Championship leader Catfish in the number 2 Sims Porsche DS car. Following Leclerc and Ocampo. Some drivers he's going to be fighting with hard for the championship, but the fight for the race lead still raging on. Revo still leading just about ahead of Oscar Volstad. I've actually got an in-person track map on me so I can actually follow the cars. This is the first time I'm actually going to be able to do this, but Volstad in the slipstream of Revo coming through that first chicane, but getting a track limit warning as they now come through Kumhobox. I'm not pronouncing that correctly, I don't speak Dutch. As they now head onto the main straight and heading into Tarzan Corner. It's Revo who leads from Volstad and Ocampo. Second most amount of laps of any track in the ERL calendar, that's 18. Around here, there's 19 at Monaco. As they now go through Gila, Hunter, and Rob Slotmacher. Revo setting a fastest first sector on the second lap. As they now enter Marlboro turn through Renault, and now they head down into the Audi S that starts the third sector. Doing my best to help some people who might be doing some quizzes when it comes to the amount of turns on an F1 track. Here comes Leclerc past Marcus Nelson going through the Audi S's as they now come through the Kumhob turn and onto the Tunnel West straight. Volstad setting a fastest lap, stolen by Remy LeBeau, who sent it down the inside on Ocampo to take third position away. The rain is still chucking it down here in the Netherlands. If anyone's going to benefit from changeable conditions, surely it's going to have to be the DS McLaren TGR man of Volstad, whose pit box is at the very end of the track. The home driver, the Red Devil, has gotten himself a time penalty and is down in 19th. Don't expect him to get himself up into the points, unfortunately, outside of pit strategy. In fact, pit strategy is the likely way for him to get any positions, in fact. On board with Revo in the number 7 car, heading into the Audi S's. This is the turn where usually you see a lot of incidents. You can occasionally see crashes down at turn 3. Babinus Jr. in 15th getting a track limits warning. As onto the Tunnel West straight we go to start lap number 4. But here comes Volstad. No attack mode available. He's using all the power he's got, and he's taken the lead coming out of Tarzan Corner. Through Gerlach they come and into turn number 3. A turn that doesn't have a name according to my track map, shockingly enough. But Revo's still on the back of Volstad. It's a real 2-horse race out in front. Revo is still going for his 4th World Drivers' Championship. He's really fond of taking 2 in a row, it seems, and then spending some time outside, just getting a lot of wins, and then somehow winning the championship with only 2 wins last season. Sims Motorsport DS still the championship leaders heading into this race. They're currently running 4th and 10th, with Catfish being the lead driver, as it usually is, but don't count out Tenali Gallo. He can do a lot here, and The Red Devil getting himself a third track limits warning. He gets another one, and he's going to be slapped with another 5-second time penalty. But Revo on lap 5 of 18, sending it down the inside as Ocampo set to fastest lap. He takes the race lead. Revo leads from Falstad and Remy LeBeau. Ocampo in 4th. Now on board with the number 76 car, forced wide by Catfish as they now head up the hill with Hunterug and Rob Lotmacher turns that see them enter the second sector eventually. These turn names are actually very hard to pronounce, I'll tell you that much. My Dutch once again not very good. But here comes Falstad. 0.6 of a second behind Revo. I think right now they might just be waiting for the track to dry up again. Second warning for Revo. He gets 2 more of those, just like Sanchez. And they're both going to get time penalties at this rate. Gasly up into 14th as here comes Zach Wallace taking the low line coming through the final turn. Here he comes. How far is he going to lurch up into the field as Falstad looks to try and take the lead further up? His teammate gets himself up into 11th position. Very smart moves from him. The only man to score for DS McLaren TGR so far this season. Meanwhile, Falstad trying to take a win. And the haul of 25 points that comes with it. Here he comes alongside Revo down the inside. He comes coming through the Marlboro turn. Which sees him follow that up with Renault. That being turn 9 through turn 10 they come. And it is Falstad who leads from Revo and Remy LeBeau right now. But as they head into the Audi turns, he's been forced to swing it out wide. So Falstad very safe out in front now, but with a second track limits warning. Gasly in 16th, getting his first track limits warning of the day. Shockingly, we haven't seen any major incidents so far, but we're already past a third of the way through this race. On board with Ocampo, sends it down the inside, almost contact. As Nawawi gets a fastest lap of the Prix 1.450. Catfish on the back of Remy, looking to try and get 4th away from them. This is the fight for 3rd, as the fight for 1st begins to calm down with the pole sitter still out in front. Leclerc, the man who was leading the championship heading into the Malaysian round, but just seemed like he had a true off day. He's just holding on to 6th, it seems. The Trackhouse team this season, they seem to have a very good package, but with 2 very inexperienced drivers at the helm. I say that knowing that Leclerc, the driver that we can compare Leclerc with the most when it comes to experience, is Daniel Bogdasarov, and you never really see anyone calling him inexperienced, as Sanchez gets track limits warning. Sanchez with 19 seasons of experience in the ERL, as in comes everyone side by side between Wallace and Nawawi in the pits. Intermediate tyres going on to Revo's car here. We expect someone like Zay Lane to either go for inters or dries. Not too sure on which one they're going to go. In comes Zay Lane, Nawawi on inters. Falstad leads this race. What is Zay Lane going to go on to? Intermediate tyres for the man currently placed in last. It's Falstad from Ocampo and Catfish. Revo's come out in 8th. Cable's been elevated up into 2nd. Bogdasarov's going to come out of the pits in last position, unfortunately for the Frenchman. But 3 seconds is the race lead for Falstad. Cable managed 4th there, but for Revo, that's just where his pit box is positioned, I guess. You rarely ever see a lot of luck come from that. Zach Wallace through the pits managed to get himself up into 7th after a characteristically terrible qualifying. But the track beginning to clear up. In fact, it might be time for dry tyres. Might just be 1 lap under the inters with 10 laps to go. In comes Oscar Falstad, race leader from Oslo. And yes, that's everyone into the pits. At half race distance, dry tyres going on. We expect to see soft tyres mainly. Hards going on for Cable at Power Motorsport, however. Catfish being held for a second there, waiting for Wallace to go through, but it is still Falstad leading. Who's going to be second here? It's going to be Ocampo from Catfish and Cable. Zach Wallace comes out of the pits in 7th. Revo's on the hards as well, so the old teammates down at Power Motorsport and DS Techeetah, when both drivers were at Next TV, they decided to do the exact same strategy, and in fact, Nelson and Sanchez doing the same strategy as well. Both of those drivers have driven for the Schaeffler Audi Sport team, just at different points in their careers. And those being the 4 drivers on the hards, with 9 laps to go, they will certainly make it to the end of this race. In fact, Hugh Cable managing to get himself up into 4th. Catfish now in 3rd. Side by side come the Power and Kiro drivers side by side, and in fact, we've got contact. Championship leader Catfish off into the wall and slide for Remy LeBeau. Zach Wallace has been given a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision on board of Pierre Gasly as he comes into the scene of the incident. Track's been cleared. Falstad leads from Ocampo and Remy. Remy's got a bit of damage, but the big news is a missing front wing column for Catfish, which will see him come into the pits at the end of this lap. And in fact, he's held up Revo there. That's dropped the Italian down to 10th. And from the jubilation of his first home E-Prix, winning his first home E-Prix, and winning his team's first race, he's had to come into the pits at the end of lap 10 and go on to medium tyres, which has dropped him down to 22nd and last position, and is now 40 seconds off the race lead. You rarely ever come back from a deficit like that this early on in a race. However, Amsterdam is known for having a plethora of collisions at that very turn, and the Audi S's, as here comes Hugh Cable looking to try and defend from Zach Wallace side by side, and in fact we've got contact, the virtual safety car. Pablo Sierra out of this race, and in fact he's in the wall. His front wing went flying over the catch fencing. Virtual safety car, first one of the day, first one since lap 1, turn 1 in Kuala Lumpur. 7 laps to go, and Pablo is out. One of the favourites to win this season's championship out of the race. The other favourite faced misfortune, but you know what? Considering how that crash has happened, there's a possibility, no matter how small it is, that all Catfish has to do is survive this race, and maybe, just maybe, he'll find himself with at least 1 point. We do sometimes see that in the Netherlands, as we watch Falstad come through the Audi S's on board of Ocampo, who's 2.5 seconds off the back of him. Not too much to worry about in terms of their hopes for this race. Not really in the championship hunt so far, it seems. With 6 laps to go, we've done the first 36% of the race, and into the wall goes Zach Wallace. He's lost his front wing. 66% of the race done. Nawawi's been given a time penalty. Pile up down at the Audi S's. Gamma's been given a time penalty. Not very ideal. This is bunching up the field. That's gonna help Catfish, surely. And Zach Wallace is in the same position as Catfish. He's got no front wing column. Oh, so the Italian driver in the 52, who got 18 races with Sims, got booted out, found a new home at McLaren. He's had to come into the pits at the end of lap number 11, and yellows, once again, race leader Falstad has lost his front wing. And that's going to put Ocampo up into the front. For Falstad, I don't think it's going to hinder him too much. He's probably going to stay in the top 10 at the very least, unlike Catfish and Zach Wallace, because a gap has been formed. And looking with Ica World as the race leader, the man who started this race on pole, comes into the pits. Ocampo leads from Remy LeBeau and Lala Leclerc. We've got a bit of a train behind Nawawi forming with hard tyre runners exclusively. No contact coming through the Audi S's. It's not really contact with another driver that you've got to worry about coming through there. It's contact with the wall, and in fact, look at this for Catfish. He can see Babinas Jr. right in front of him, and he should be able to make it to the end of the race. You might actually see some drivers coming in once again later on, but with 5 laps to go, Sebastian Ocampo leads this race with blistering on his softs. He's going to pit again. Ocampo surely has to pit again, as well as Remy LeBeau. Here comes an OQ looking to try and go around the outside. Bob Saab gets done by Babinas Jr. He goes alongside him. Catfish is watching this with some popcorn in his seat, probably. Do we expect Ocampo to come in soon, maybe in the next few laps? This is one of the shortest laps on the calendar. You often see sub 1 minute lap times. Haven't been able to see anything like that due to the rain and then the caution periods we've been given. Sanchez going alongside Marcus Nelson coming through the chicane. 5-second time penalty for the man from the Philippines for track limits. He's gotten 4 track limits warnings, and that 4th one has triggered the automatic penalty. Side by side, look at that coming out of the final turn onto the main straight and into Tarzan corner. I just learned this today. Bocht, I'm not too sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is Dutch for corner. So that's very interesting to know. As they now come into the second sector. Not too sure if Diaz and Cheetah are going to have too good of a race today once the checkered flag falls here in Amsterdam. But we've got 3 laps to go, and it's Ocampo who leads from Remy LeBeau and Lawless Clerk. Oh my goodness, I can't even speak. Remy's come into the pits. 3 laps to go, and Remy's thinking better to be safe than sorry, and in fact, they're thinking the same thing down at Power Motorsport as well. Ica World also coming into the pits. Falstad sits at 58.4, and he's already back up into 3rd position after losing half of his front wing earlier on in this race. He's on the back of Lawless Clerk right now, and Mohamed Awawi's coming into the pits as well for Mercedes. Catfish is going to jump up some positions here. I'm not too sure if he's going to get points today. He's going to have to need a few more crashes and a few more botched overtakes from some drivers and surely some more 5-second time penalties. But here comes Falstad with attack mode coming through the Audi S's. He's got the inside line on Leclerc. He's going to get attack mode once again as they head onto the main straight, but through the banking he comes. The low line seems to work a lot better, but in comes Leclerc and Ocampo. Falstad back into the race lead with 2 laps to go. And it seemed like heartbreak was to reach all the hearts of the McLaren fans in the stands. Track limits warning for Pierre Gasly. That's his 3rd of the day. He gets 1 more, and that's it in terms of not having a penalty. He's going to be given one, surely. Nelson going alongside Daf Sanchez and Gasly at the same time. It's so close between them. Down the inside goes the champion of Season 9 to get himself up into 8th position and on the back of the Red Devil. The Hard Sires, they probably won't be the ideal strategy, but they will surely see the drivers who started the stint on them make their way to the end of the race on them. Falstad heading through that chicane, but Ocampo is 4 seconds off the back of him. Didn't lose too much in the pits, in fact. I'm pretty sure he just stayed where he was prior to the pits. As Revo leading a train of attack mode here, on board with the Red Devil at his home race with soft tyres that are absolutely short. Gasly gets a 5-second time penalty, out of the race is gone, and not you! Behind Babinus Jr. at the Audi S's. They've cleared that up now, but we're on to the penultimate lap of this race. 2 retirements have been awarded, but in come an entire horde of drivers. That is Marcus Nelson coming in, 4th stop of the day for Catfish, so he could not make it to the end with those mediums. Maybe he'll go for the fastest lap. He's had to be held for Nelson to go by him, but we are back underway in Amsterdam. Doubt Catfish is going to score any points today, which is going to hinder his championship challenge. It will switch the roles between Leclerc and Catfish for sure. This is certainly going to be one of those championship battles that will head down to the final race. UK will got very close to the wall there, defending from Remy LeBeau. But onto the final lap goes Falstad. We're not watching the McLaren man because he's got clear air out in front. Gasly and Revo fighting over 6th position. Leclerc in free air. He's almost certainly going to help his team, Trackhouse, get some more points in their hunt for the Constructors' Crown. Fastest first sector goes to Ocampo, and out of the race goes Bogdasarov, the other Renault driver out of this Prix. we're not going to end this race under a yellow flag period. I'm pretty sure they'll be able to get that cleared up in time for Falstad to come across the line under green. But for the McLaren driver himself, it's been a turbulent first 5 races of the season. No points at all, and has been swept by his less experienced teammates. But as this virtual safety car ends, with him coming through the final turn, this bank's final turn, and onto the Tunnel West, Oscar Falstad takes home victory in Amsterdam. Sebastian Ocampo is second rather, and Leclerc has gone off. Leclerc in the barriers. He's lost his front wing. This is the man who's going for the championship lead. Another time penalty for Pierre Gasly. It's all kicking off at the end of this Amsterdam Prix. And if Leclerc can get it out and remain in the points, he can't! Leclerc is out! Lawless Leclerc is out! In Amsterdam, it's a second consecutive non-point score, and it keeps Catfish's championship hopes very much alive, as he will come across the line in 15th on the road. But to run through your finishing order for the top 10, it's Falstad from Ocampo, Ukable, Remy LeBeau, Gasly with a 10-second time penalty, Revo, Iker, World, Tommy, Zach Wallace, and Ben Allen Lee. This is the podium. It's a podium full of champions, 2 one-timers and a 2-timer. Oscar Falstad, the season 18 World Drivers' Champion, wins in Amsterdam from the season 14-19 champion Sebastian Ocampo and the season 10 World Drivers' Champion Ukable. Then it's Remy LeBeau, Revo, Iker World, Pierre Gasly, Ben Allen Lee, Marcus Nelson and Tommy, with Catfish just about scraping home in 11th from Babness Jr. and Zach Wallace. Then it's the Red Devils, no points at home from Mohamed Awawi and Senali Gabo. Then it's Daf Sanchez and Zay Lane, with your non-finishers being Lars Leclerc at the last possible moment, Daniel Bogdasarov, Anot Q, and Pablo Sierra. In the driver's standings, Sebastian Ocampo leads the championship 1 point ahead of Catfish. Then it's Pablo Sierra tied with Revo. It's Ukable 1 point ahead of both Tenali Gabo and Lars Leclerc. Then Pierre Gasly, the Red Devil, Marcus Nelson, Remy LeBeau, Oscar Falstad, Babinus Jr., Mohamed Awawi, Daf Sanchez tied with Zay Lane, Zach Wallace tied with Iker World, Ben Allen Lee, and Tommy, with the non-scorers so far being Bogdasarov and Anot Q. In the constructors' standings heading into the next round in Rome, Sims Porsche DS lead from Power Renault 1 point ahead of DS Techeetah. Then it's DS Andretti, Kiro Renault, Trackhouse Renault, and Renault Edams. That's a lot of Renaults. And it's DS McLaren TGR, Mercedes EQ, DS Venturi Formula E team, and Nissan Nismo, who have finally scored points. We'll see you guys next time then when the ERL Formula E Series returns.